Hey everyone, this is the most depressed you'll ever hear just on the football podcast. Arsenal and Liverpool bottle jobs featured. And a Chelsea fan whose game hasn't even started yet starts in about half an hour. Slightly more. Fergal happily pumping his fists there. And Harry looking, dejected, I suppose. Quite, the wilty eyes I see here. Yeah. Some black under the eyes there. I'm sure.
Whoa. I'm sure. no. He's already down long. We don't need to start slagging off Harry. Look, you look a bit tired of that, Harry.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him at all.
A good feed.
Wouldn't blame him at all. Yeah,
you're not wrong, mate.
Yeah, I know I'm not. The season has come to an end for both of us, Harry.
Is that a question or is it a statement?
It's just a statement, and I just want to hear how you're feeling about the season ending in April. That's how I'm feeling anyway. I'm sure you might feel a bit differently. There's still a title race there realistically, but I don't feel like it.
You're where Harry's not a Bayern Munich fan, right?
They're out of the Champions League too when Bayern Munich beat them in midweek. So and Liverpool are out of the Europa League already. Couldn't be bothered. Anyway,
you actually raise an interesting point, and I know it's sort of said half in jest and half not, but I think
about 75% not actually.
Yeah, and I think actually you're hitting on a good point, which is just generally, if you look at the league as a whole, it's quite disappointing and actually quite discouraging. You've basically had this, 3-horse race, and then the second one of the teams gets in front, there's this general resignation and acceptance that the other team will win it. And look, there's a long way to go yet, right? Like there's 6 games left, anything can happen.
Yeah,
but
I suppose
if you look at what history tells us, Man City and run-ins win the league. The one year they haven't won it, in the last six seasons, or is it 5 and 6? And they've got under Pep. Like the one season they haven't, there was no run-in, right? Liverpool built up such a lead that they'd won it, before the run-in. So I think history tells us that it's a very difficult task that both teams are facing. I think that the fixtures that City have left are the fixtures that if you said to any of the 3 teams, you can pick your games, they'd pick City's set of games like they are the easiest on paper, which, take it with a pinch of salt because the weekend just gone, I don't think you'd have had either of those results, Arsenal or Liverpool losing. So, things can change, but I think generally it's quite, it probably tells you where the league's at, that we've had this kind of 3-horse race building for, the last few months, and basically all it takes is one weekend of results to fall one team's way. And actually, it kind of tells you that the foundations of this 3-horse race weren't actually that solid in the first place. That it can all, feel like it's ended that quickly.
Well, not solid.
I'm not giving up. Yeah, look, I'm not giving up. I still think City could drop points. I think if I'm being realistic, I think what bothers me more is I think we could and will, and similarly with Liverpool, they could and probably will drop more points. Like, are City going to drop 2 more points than Arsenal and Liverpool with the games that are remaining? It's unlikely. It's unlikely. It's not impossible, because I think you look at some of their games and you think, they could draw them. And with the goal difference where it is at the minute between the 3 teams like that, it's so tight. I mean, that was the thing that actually went under the radar with City, was they went above Liverpool on goal difference, and they've closed the gap on us to... They gained like 7 or whatever. They won 5-1 and we lost 2. They gained 6 of a 10 differential. So you're then within like again, it's a swing. Like if they win a game 2-0, maybe we lose a game 2-0. And admittedly, at that point, goal difference, would be the last concern. But they could catch us on goal difference as well. So, it was a very good weekend for them. They won a game that you'd expect them to win. And I don't think even their wildest dreams, they would have had both those results yesterday. I think maybe they would have looked and thought maybe one of those teams will draw, and even then you've still a good result because one of your competitors has slipped up. For both to lose, it's dreamland stuff for them, really. But, the way the game's fought, both at home, and let's be frank, Villa are a good side. Like, I'm not taking anything away from them. I certainly wasn't taking that game lightly, like, given what had happened to Liverpool, in the game before. but City beat them, 2 or 3 games ago. It's just a game you have to find a way to win. And I think, City would have done it had they been in that situation. I think they would find a way to win that game. And it leaves them in a really good position. I think the only thing you could say for Arsenal and Liverpool is because City don't play next weekend, you've got to win next weekend. And I think we play Chelsea on the Tuesday and City have a game, I think, the following midweek. So there's a chance to, use an analogy like scoreboard pressure. If you can get those 2 wins and suddenly go from 2 points behind to 4 points in front, they've got 2 games in hand, but you want the points on the board. So there's that element of it. They're obviously not going to get the game in hand until the last week of the season. And the only thing that sort of disappoints me with it all is Spurs, and I'm not expecting any favours from them, but all you can do is win your remaining games. I think if Arsenal and Liverpool both win all their remaining games, I still think you can look at it and say it was a good effort, especially from Liverpool, who I just don't think anyone expected to be in this position.
Yeah, absolutely.
This season, and I know that's not that comforting, Ali, because once you're there, you obviously, like us last season, right? Like no one thought we'd be in that position, but once you're in it, it's gutting when you don't take advantage. In our situation, it was the first year of this squad, but you really want to win it then. With Liverpool, it's obviously the last year with Klopp, like the different circumstances, but City just do what they do, and it's bloody hard. There's just no room for error.
Lovely therapy work, Harry.
I think you're spot on about the. I think City will go probably 5 from 6 games left. I think they'll drop points in 1.
I think you could make the case.
Who would they drop points to?
It's difficult to say who.
It could be any. It could be anything.
Honestly, and this is where you get a bit bogged down in it. Like, if City had been going through our games and Liverpool's games, there's absolutely no way they'd have picked Palace for Liverpool. And I think there's at least 2 games they probably would have looked at, maybe 3 games they'd have looked at for us and thought they'll drop points there. Maybe it'd be to Brighton, maybe it'd be to Chelsea. Chelsea be fired up. You've got Spurs away, you've got United away. There's games they would have picked before Villa. Not that Villa are a bad side and they played very well on the day, but I think that is the point. Like, there can be drop points. I could see City drawing 1 game. I'm not sure they'll lose again, and I definitely don't think they'll drop points in multiple games. But those are the circumstances you put yourselves in now. Like, you're 2 points
especially they're going to be playing Champions League midweek. If they Champions League midweek, and then they literally if you play any team that's not in the bottom 3, if you get them on their top form and you're not on it, there's a chance there. Like there's so many. I think there's so much quality in the league now that, like, in Chelsea, we've seen it time and time again. We drew now with Sheffield United and Burnley and Brentford.
Not so
far. Can't take any game lightly. I still think there's points to be dropped, and people are talking about Man City, like it mostly is the same team they had previously, but there's key players that were there last season, like Gundogan, that isn't there now for these clutch moments. Mahrez as well. It's in this end of the season where I think them not being in the team will be seen most. And if they were there, I'd be like, they're going to go and win them all. But I can't see them being perfect at the end of the season. I think there is 1 game they'll drop points, whether that be a draw or loss. And so that's your window for Liverpool and Arsenal. You have to be perfect from now on. But
I think the fact that also for them, they're under a bit more pressure this time, because in the previous seasons, and especially last season, I think they put the blinkers on us. They just kept winning, and they thought basically that we would fold under the pressure, which we did. I think the fact that there's 2 teams there this time obviously allows them less room for error, in that it's very unlikely that both are going to drop points at the same time like they did. I mean, that is why it was such a good weekend. Like, really, you couldn't script that sort of stuff any better for them, that both teams play at home against teams they should beat and lose. And I don't think they'll be expecting that to happen again. So, I could make the case on dropping points. I think the point about after a Champions League game was a good point in that it probably felt quite kindly for them. No disrespect to Luton, but if they could have picked a game to have, it would have been one of those 3 promoted teams at home. It was Tuesday, Saturday rather than Wednesday, Saturday or Wednesday, Sunday. So it was just a sort of slightly longer turnaround in that, you're playing a pretty poor side, let's be honest, at home. And I think recovery-wise, they just had them. But I'm looking at it. City aren't the team they were last season, and that's not to say they're a bad side and they're obviously still probably the best side in world football, but there are vulnerabilities there that I think they could get exploited. I don't think Haaland, that's the other point I'd make, he's not at the level he was last season at this point in the season. I think he's been not poor, but by his standards, he's certainly not been as good as he was last year.
He's a League Two player, Harry.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Just
they've got a League Two player up front.
Tapping
Richard. They've got a League Two player up front. I do think there'll be another twist, and there might be a couple of twists, because that's the thing I would say is I don't expect Arsenal and Liverpool to win all their games. I think that's basically why that was such a poor result. I think you could have made the case before this weekend that maybe each team could drop points in one game, and I think by drop points I'd actually have gone for a draw rather than obviously losing. But it does kind of matter when you do it. Like, you don't want to blink first. I think that was the thing for me. It was, don't drop points first out of the 3 teams. And okay, we didn't. It was a couple of hours later. We might as well have. But
yeah, you want
City. Exactly. You want City to be the ones to blink first, and then you got the chance to open up a gap, because the second they smell blood, that's when you start to worry, because they're just in territory that's charted for them.
Yeah.
And
what makes me think, there's a chance it's only a 2-point swing, etc, 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 but I've seen it before, waiting for Man City to drop points. Chelsea dropping points is the easiest thing in the world. Waiting for City to drop points is not it's not worth it, really.
It's a horrible game. The thing is, I'm not as scarred by it as you. They were equally as perfect last season. I know they had the last 2 games where they everyone goes on about it last season. They won the league by 5 points. Let's be very clear here. They'd won the league. They played Brighton and Brentford in the last 2 games, and they dropped 5 points. If they'd had to win those games, I'm absolutely certain they'd have won both.
Yeah,
and finished on 94 points. The reason I'm not as affected by it is because we weren't perfect. Liverpool in other seasons have been near enough perfect in the run-in, and it's still not been enough. If I'd witnessed what you have, I would be more scarred by that.
Yeah,
I think the reason I'm not last year is we showed vulnerability on our end, which I actually think emboldened them, and equally they were very good. But we dropped points against Southampton and against West Ham and against Nottingham Forest and Brighton. There was stuff we did that was just completely avoidable. We had a terrible last 10 games. Liverpool in 21-22, I think, drew to City and Spurs. I think they had 2 draws and 8 wins or something like that in the last 10 games. Mm-hmm. And then in the 18-19, I think they won the last 9 games. I think it was.
We drew to Everton away, and that was the last time we dropped points.
That was March, wasn't it? That was March, and then you won every game. So, if I'd witnessed that, and then both times coming up short by a point, I would be far more scarred by it than what I am by last season. Last season hurt, but there was stuff that we could have controlled better, and we didn't. And I think that's why I can sort of look at it and go, actually, we blew it ourselves, rather than, they put the pressure on. They did what they're going to do. I expected them to basically do what they did, right? I don't know. I think the Champions League will be really interesting, because they're probably going to play Bayern. I hope we go through on Wednesday. I'm not convinced we will. It'd be an interesting game for them against Bayern, because they're definitely better. They're definitely better than Bayern. But I think Bayern have got outlets that can cause City problems. I think City have shown in recent weeks that,
Real Madrid, you mean?
No, I'm talking about it for the semis as well, though, because I'm assuming they'll get through.
You're assuming, okay.
Again, I'm getting into this sort of territory of like assuming they get through, and if it's not fine, it will be us, and like we'll kick lumps out of each other. So like either way, they're going to have a taxing semi-final, and I think that's where you're looking at it. And I'm not sure what their fixtures are in between those games, but it's going to be harder than Luton at home. I think that's about as kind as it could have been. Yeah. I think obviously, not to say they've been lucky with playing Chelsea, like they've got to the semi-final themselves ultimately, but they would have had to play Spurs had they not been in that FA Cup semi-final, which would have been a harder game for a couple of reasons, I think. One of which is that game falling for Spurs in the last week of the season, that they'll pretty much know whether they're in the Champions League. They will be in the Champions League, I think, by that point. Because I know it's like 50-50 with the coefficient, but I'm expecting City to get to the final and I'm expecting Villa to progress. So I don't know what that does mathematically, but that is just my prediction. Whereas if Spurs were playing them this weekend, then they're 3 points behind Villa. Like they just need to win. Beggars can't be choosers with this sort of thing. I just think they'd be more like on it. And I think the other thing for City is like after a Champions League game on the Wednesday, that's a harder game than, an FA Cup game, which like they'll obviously want to win, but it'd be less costly if they go out the FA Cup and they win the league and win the Champions League. They're not going to care like that much, really. It's not that much of a letdown.
Yeah. So the Champions League semi-final, because you're asking, I think it would fall. There's
it's the week
Premier League
of like
game
the start
on
of
Sunday,
May,
April 28th. I think the first Wednesday of May, which is May 1st. May 1st? April 3rd. April, that sort of thing. It would be first semi-final, and I think they play Wolves on Saturday, May 4th, and then
that's a home game.
That's a home game, and then they play the other Champions League fixture in that
Fulham.
midweek.
Is it Fulham?
And then it's Fulham.
Yeah,
and then
that's a 12:30 kickoff, isn't it? So the week I'm looking at, actually, if you look at that, it's weird. This is like the Man City podcast, but the week I'm looking at is actually next week. I think. As I was saying, Arsenal play twice before then, and Liverpool play obviously at the weekend, and then the same night, I think they've got Liverpool got a game in hand. Everton. They play Everton that night, and City have got Brighton away, and then Forest away.
Yep.
On the Sunday.
Correct. Our fixtures are horrible,
City Brighton on Thursday, or is it on Wednesday?
City Brighton is on Thursday.
Okay, so both will have played 2 games before then. So in theory, as wild as it sounds, both could be 4 points clear. And they'd have 2 games in hand. But you want the points, right?
Doesn't matter. So, but psychologically, I suppose playing catch up is a little bit different. But
if it were us, I'd be worried. I think City are maybe the only team you look at and go, yeah, it won't make any difference. They'll just. But if it were anyone else, you would look at it and go, do you know what? 4 points is 4 points at the end of the day. You don't want to be 4 points behind, even with 2 games in hand. You want the points. It's always the way you approach it, right?
And then the other thing for me is that I really worry about the Everton game.
Yeah.
Really worry about the Everton game. Wednesday, April the 24th. So before
I'm worried about the bloody Chelsea game. I mean, if you'd said to me, before yesterday, you're going to drop points in one of those games that isn't Spurs, because I think Spurs is the one that everyone's looking at going, yeah, it's a North London derby, Spurs will be really up for it. That's the obvious one to pick. If you'd said to me you're going to drop points in another game and it's not Spurs, I would have said Chelsea. I don't know what it is about that game. Chelsea will have absolutely fuck all to lose in that, right? Nothing. They're only out to spoil. And I don't know, it could click them.
We could be going for. We're still in line to get Europa League. So that's about the only thing we're.
It's tightened up in the middle of the table, I suppose. Isn't it? It's sort of United were weirdly clear, but have been absolutely horrendous, and then they've just gone nowhere. And a few teams have kind of jumped in behind. So you could be going for 6, which again doesn't help us, right? Because you've got something to play for. I think either way, I'm looking at that as we'll be under pressure to win that. We would have been under pressure to win it. Had we won yesterday, but certainly now having lost it's a trap game.
With Chelsea, I'm way more confident against the better teams than I am. This game that tonight, which you don't know the result listening to this, I'm way more worried going up against Everton than I am Arsenal, because we just seem to actually, there's less expectations coming up against Arsenal at the moment, but then also the team seems to rise to the occasion. So if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd definitely be worried about dropping points. Maybe not beating Chelsea might not beat Arsenal, but I could easily see a draw.
And to be honest, that'll be it. If we draw another game, that's the situation you're in now. It's like it's last chance saloon.
Yeah, the final nail in the coffin for either team is to drop any more points over the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
and
can happen.
I think that's the thing. It's a big ask, right? Because both have got tricky sort of. Liverpool still got Villa away, haven't they, as well?
We have Villa away.
Given how they played.
Penultimate game week of the season, Monday Night Football. Yeah. And we have Everton away, we have Tottenham at home. It's a tough set of fixtures, and it come at tough times. Like the next 4 games are away. Atalanta, which of course it doesn't matter anymore because we're out, right? Or unless we make up a 3-goal deficit, that would be like if we manage to pull off a 5-0 like we did in the COVID season. That would be a real like booster. I would tend to think
on the Atalanta game, because obviously we didn't speak like after that.
Yeah.
Did you think there was any impact of that result in yesterday's performance? Because it's like, obviously it's a different team that played the game. I think that the intensity going into it, like I can't see Liverpool ever losing a Premier League game 3-0 at Anfield, but getting beat like that, as much as you can write it off and go, yeah, it's all right, we'll play the game that actually matters like 3 days later. Like, do you think there was any hangover from it at all? Because the first half, I know you only saw the first half on Sunday, but it's as bad as I've seen Liverpool play, like really bad.
Yeah, it was horrendous. And then the second half got better, and then we missed.
And the goal, like this is as bad as I've seen them defend all season. Like it was quite well worked, but he could have had about 4 touches and put that into the net.
Exactly.
The freedom that Elise had in the build up to that, and like whenever you're looking at the Crystal Palace team, there's about 2 players that you want to tightly mark. The rest,
it's not
complicated,
like, is it?
And both were completely free, including Geze in the goal.
The easiest
it opened up a mini conversation about Wataru Endo, which we can actually get into. I want to talk about Endo and Salah if we have the time. But I think the hangover is not from the Atalanta game. The hangover is from the Man United game.
Man United.
I will never recover from that result, even if we win the league, just because of how much I dislike Man United and how awful I think they are. Manchester United. Fact check this on editing, and if it is correct, mention it right here. Have conceded more shots than Derby County's 2008 team.
I saw this stat before. So they haven't, but they're on pace to concede more. I think it's if they concede like 50 shots in 6 games or something like that. And then if you do the rate at which they've been conceding them, they could do it in like
them in the next 2 games.
Yeah,
they could see them in the next 2 games. How we haven't beaten Man United this season? I wrote on Twitter, like, us not beating Man United this season, this version of Manchester United, is
criminal.
It's a crime. Criminal. It's failure, and not winning the Premier League is fair punishment.
Like for us, it's like we didn't beat Villa, like they're a decent side, but then we took 1 out of 6 from Fulham. Like that's the one everyone talks about. For you, it's taking 2 points from Man United, 100%.
It's horrible.
The way those 2 games went, to take 2 points is just scandalous.
It's horrific, and I think that completely shot our confidence. I believe, and including confidence in front of goal. We scored 1 open play goal from near enough 10 expected goals. Like expected goals, that like the use of XG in analysis can get pretty pointless at times in the way it's kind of used. But it's figures like that tell you there is a problem, and it is costing us trophies. Like it's costing us. It's costing us trophies, even if we weren't expected. And you brought it up, and it is true. Nobody expected Liverpool to have any sort of title challenge. But I think with the context our end of season is unfolding, the kind of the main reason we're third now is not scoring our chances, not finishing our dinner. Even Mohamed Salah, our top goal scorer for the season, probably the best player in Liverpool and possibly the league before January, before he went off to the African Cup of Nations. The injury seems to have just ended his.
No, but he's not been the same player.
He hasn't been the same player at all, and I think he's still playing with the injury. If you watch bits of the details of his body language in the Crystal Palace game, I think he's still carrying that injury a little bit, and I wonder if we should just calm it down a little bit against Atalanta and, go with those same hungry, fiery youngsters that got us over the line in the Carabao Cup final and the couple of Premier League games in the January-February period where we had this injury crisis and just kept winning. And just see what you can do from that, and then start your starters in the Fulham game, and indeed the Everton game. But I think finishing is the real concern here, and I think it's a confidence problem because of the Manchester United game, which I don't think we'll ever recover from.
Do you think you'll need transfers to resolve that issue in the summer?
I saw a tweet that Ollie Watkins is on the market probably this summer. I went, ooh. I'd love a bit of Ollie Watkins. Probably a pipe dream. I don't know. I don't know, because it depends on who's coming. It probably is Amorim. What are we going to do with Salah? If an 80-90 million pound bid came from Saudi Arabia, do we have second thoughts?
I think you cash in.
I'm honestly, if Mohamed Salah happens to leave at the end of this season, I don't think I'd be totally against it. It will obviously suck because we've had he is the main figure in terms of players. The main figure is Jurgen Klopp, but in terms of players, he's the main guy in kind of all of our successes from 2017 onwards.
Yeah.
And it will suck, but I think it's a sensible enough decision to go. Thanks for the memories. We need a bit of a refresh. Ruben Amorim is coming in anyway. It's a good time to reset things.
I think you would have went last summer only the bid came in so late. Like the amount of money, the only reason you don't accept that is just like you don't have to get a replacement.
Yeah, possibly, and God knows, really, but I think if we hadn't, we wouldn't have challenged for the league, because his early season form is one of the reasons we're up here. In third, 2 points behind, still have a chance. Small chance, I think, still. But Wataru Endo, as well, is one that's been kind of debated about, because before the season starts, number 6 is the main position we need. We miss out on one or two players, Lavia and Caicedo. And then we buy Wataru Endo. Every Liverpool fan goes, is that really the kind of signing we want to make? 31 years old, was in the relegation battle in Germany. Turns out brilliant up until 3 or 4 games ago. And then kind of his form takes a downward spiral, and everyone goes, oh, that's just his level. He was playing at a level that's realistically higher than his average, and then he's down to average, and that means we need to sign someone else. Is life that simple?
He's regressed to the mean.
Regressed to the mean is the word I was looking for there.
But he's I think that's the best you're going to get out of that signing, that type of signing. It's a stopgap signing that you're going, look, we wanted to spend the money we have on a top target, that those targets didn't want to come to us, and some might say you dodged the bullet in doing that.
Absolutely.
But then it clearly in the summer they're going to line up again to get another target to fill that role. As stopgaps go, and Chelsea have had a few of them, like Sal Niguez.
Sal used to play for Chelsea. I completely forgot.
Yeah. Zappacosta is kind of a stopgap, Zappacosta, who's playing for Atlanta, actually. I was surprised to see him actually
such
part
a
of
good game against us as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, you see those stopgap players, and you're like, you know what? You kind of have to accept them for what they are, and just be So you're sort of like grateful that it happened and not sad that it's ended. But with those types of players, like,
Were you
because
grateful
they can
that Saul
easily.
happened? Come on.
No, I'm talking about Endo. Like, you have to be
Yeah.
grateful that you got as much out of him as you did,
Yeah,
because it
and I
could
am.
so easily be a Saul Niguez um,
We had it
transfer.
last season with Artur. 12 minutes played or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great, even better example for Liverpool. It
Yeah.
could have been Arthur, but you've got Endo. That's what happens though if you don't make if you don't land your top targets. It could end up costing you in the clutch moments. And I still think you could. I still think you could still say the same for City as well. Still not convinced about the squad players they brought in to replace the likes of Gundogan. Um,
Yeah,
and
Mateus Nunes has been very
Nunes.
big part. Yeah, that's kind of our hope, really. This the kind of level of clutchness immensity that has kind of taken a dip with Gundogan and Mars.
It shows you how good they were last season, because it is so obvious that they are not nowhere near as good as they were last season, and yet they're still, like, as you said, the best team. But like, to me, it's like so clear that they're not as good.
Yeah, I
And it
think so
was
too.
at the start of the season as well. So it's just testament to how good they are.
Yeah. Yep.
Or how good the travel side were.
A slightly more positive note: Tammy Abraham is back, ladies and gentlemen, and we will very soon, once Tammy Abraham starting games, we'll have our tabs on Tammy back again, which we haven't had for the whole of this season because he's been out with an ACL.
Yeah.
However, the Roma game against Udinese at the weekend, I believe on Sunday, it was stopped because Evan Dicka collapsed, unfortunately, and was sent to the hospital. He's recovering now and kind of posted an Instagram picture, like, flexing. It's good to see. It's great to see. But yeah, that was a bit of a surprise one. But Tammy's back. That's important, if not as important as Evan Dicka's health.
Yeah. It's interesting, like, where Chelsea are. You'd still take Tammy Abraham, and then also one of the other players who we would take back at the moment is Dominic Solanke, who's just having an unbelievable season. And
100%. I would even say Lukaku. Well, he's having a good season at Roma.
Don't get George started, mate.
There's no point mentioning Lukaku. Like,
is there not?
It's still frustrating that he's on. Like, we have to deal with this come the summer. But look, what I'm happy about is that Blueco have signed two top class hotels, which has balanced the books for Chelsea. So I'm relieved about that. That was good.
Big money sales.
Yeah.
Oh, congrats, I suppose.
Marina Grande Sky, I'll beat your heart out. Ekbali and Co can sell hotels themselves.
The magnificent negotiation powers of Todd Bowley have saved the day again. After the magnificent captures of Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia in the summer to beat out Liverpool's attempts at signing them. And Bayer Leverkusen have won the Bundesliga. Yay! I mean, I don't know if I'm happy that Bayern Munich haven't won it, because I was reaching a level of unnecessary dislike towards Bayern because of the amount of league titles they have been winning. But also, I can't help but feel even more annoyed that Xabi Alonso isn't coming to Liverpool next season. He's just perfected football this season. He's not lost a game yet. It's wild. It's absolutely crazy.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely mental.
I think you'll get him long term. I think you're going to get him. I think he'll go to Real Madrid, and then he'll end up at Liverpool.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully.
But it's some achievement to win it this early, and what is an interesting coincidence? It's Kingsley Coleman's first time he's never won a league title, and it happens to coincide with the first time he's been in the same team as Harry Kane.
Yes, sir.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's really funny. But Bayern Munich shot themselves in the foot because the sacking of Julian Nagelsmann when it happened was so unnecessary. It was based off a prediction that they may be on the wrong trajectory at some point later in the season, so they chose to sack him. It was such a fickle move, and now they're actually negotiating with Nagelsmann again to come back after the Euros.
Yeah.
But
in fairness to Bayern, they've literally gone, this was so clearly a bad mistake. We've gotten rid of the people that made that decision, and now they're begging Nagelsmann back. So they've put their hands up and went, we've got this all wrong, and I'm kind of happy because I've said all along as a Chelsea fan I was not happy with Tuchel, and I was quite glad to see him leave.
Champions League. When are you the champions?
You're one of, to be honest, Folk, it's interesting, right? Because I feel like there's a lot of rose-tinted spectacles when it comes to Tuchel at Chelsea. I think, I'm not saying he did a bad job.
You see it all the time on Twitter, all these compilations of Tuchel's greatest moments at Chelsea.
I think if you did a poll, 90% of them would take him back tomorrow. And from the start, 100%. You were sort of very much of the attitude that you won us a Champions League, but we're not going to win. We're not going to win league titles playing the way we are. It's too defensive, not enough answers. But you're one of the only Chelsea fans I've heard say that. There's such a fondness for him, given the way it ended, given the turmoil.
In the
maybe
summer,
everything that's followed. I think maybe everything that's followed has kind of led to this more favourable perception of actually the job that he did. But I'm with you. He's not done a good job at Bayern. I mean, it's interesting because I watched Bayern the other night and I was like, they're a good side. I don't actually know how they've made such a mess of it this season. It's kind of gone very. It's gone very wrong very quick, hasn't it? The second they lost that game to Leverkusen, the away game, it's completely gone to they were on their had they won that game, I think they'd have gone above them or been level on points. It was close.
They would have gone by 2 points above them.
So they've gone above them by 2 points. They lost that. They went 4 behind or 5 behind.
They went 5 behind.
And
so they would have been up by 1.
They've completely gone to pot in the league. Now they could still win the Champions League. They're in the running, but I'm looking at their team. It doesn't seem to me that difficult to put aside. You take nearly every side in world football. If you had their front three fit, you're looking at it and thinking it rivals any. They really are good players. It doesn't seem that difficult to me.
The team that played Arsenal. Was incredible.
Other than
the only odd one out is bloody Eric Dyer.
It is. I agree. I don't really understand that one. But then I'm looking at all the other players because so much had been made of it going into the game. It's Bayern are terrible. Their bums and Arsenal are going to hammer them. I kind of never bought into it really. And then their team comes out and I'm like, I don't know. Am I missing a trick here? As you said, all of these by Eric Dyer are basically top class players playing probably below their level this season. So. Yeah. It's interesting with them, and interesting with Tuchel. I don't really know where he ends up next. To be honest, I don't know where this leaves them.
I honestly am absolutely gobsmacked because whenever Eric Dyer signed for Bayern Munich, I assumed that he was going to be a bit part player, and he was just there for cover.
Better to keep Harry Kane happy.
But they've got your man Kim on the bench. Who was he not 70 million?
Yeah,
Kim and Jae.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
It absolutely blows my mind just how bad is he that you're he's I get Upamecano. Upamecano is one of the ropiest players about. It is a toss up between him and Eric Dyer. I do get that. But Kim and Jae, how is Dyer definitely better than him? It's mental.
So, on a 34 game season, their current rate, Bayern Munich, they would end up on 74 points. which last season they finished with 71 and were crowned champions because of the biggest bottle job of
It was a shambles,
recent
wasn't
times.
it? Like that, Dortmund
from
completely blew
Dortmund.
it.
Yeah, the last game of the season, drunk to one of the like lower table teams. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it is.
Mainz,
it's
I think,
still.
wasn't it?
It was like Mainz or Köln, like one of those two, or like a similar team that wears red and white, and it's quite bad.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, one of them. But yeah, it's. I think they have fully done themselves over. It'll be interesting to see if when Bayern Munich get their new manager in, presumably Julian Nagelsmann, and what kinds of transfers happen in and out of Bayer Leverkusen, because they made so many transfers in the summer, but then so many players performed this season that you would imagine, like in similar situations, when a team that isn't expected to win the league wins the league and gets picked apart, like your Leicesters, your Monacos, Bayer Leverkusen being one of those examples. What's going to happen to those players? Because I think if Xabi Alonso left, a lot of the players would have left, and Fergal brought this point up in a previous episode. If Xabi Alonso leaves, a lot of the players leave, and Leverkusen go back to normal Bayer Leverkusen. If like now Xabi Alonso's staying, and there's clearly quite an ambitious project going on there, and I wouldn't imagine that Xabi Alonso will be like satisfied with how things have gone and kind of focus on a good Champions League run and disregard the league next season or that sort of stuff. He's so professional that he will want to carry this on, but what sorts of transfers will happen? How many players are going to get picked apart from them? How will it all go?
It's interesting that you picked Leicester and Monaco, and that was Ranieri and Jardim. And I always remember wanting Jardim for a while at Chelsea, because I was like, he's really done well. Now,
Wait, what happened to Jardim?
He didn't. Yeah, I think I have a feeling he ended up in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, you
Spain, I'm pretty sure. Like, he's definitely
Al-Rayyan
manager
in
of a
Qatar.
Spanish club. Where was he before that? What's his
let's go to his
I feel
Wikipedia page.
I feel like he went to Seville. Was it Seville?
He went Monaco. He left Monaco in 2019. Went to Al Hilal, then Shabab Al Ahli, and then Rayyan. So Middle Eastern tour going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Don't know what happened. Well, the squad was picked apart. They fell off, and then he just left.
But yeah, what I was going to say though is, so you've got those two managers, and the team gets picked apart. But I think the difference is this time, Xabi Alonso's got the star power.
Yeah.
He's got it's sexy. You know, Jardim wasn't sexy, Ranieri wasn't sexy. Xabi Alonso's sexy, and I think the players will want to stay and play for a sexy manager like Xabi Alonso. He's pure class. Who retires from football and posts a photo like that? No one else but Xabi Alonso. And I think it's that sort of class that'll keep players there. It's those finer things. Some players will go. Like I hear Frimpong is he's got a 34 million release clause, which is quite low for how good he's been and other targets on the market. So I'd imagine anybody needing a right back will happily pay that money.
Would be absolutely perfect for Amorim's Liverpool. Would be absolutely perfect. However, we don't need him. Funny enough, because Trent and Bradley would be quite harsh on them. By the way, Amorim video out now. Do go watch it. It's still very relevant, and I think it will remain relevant until Ruben Amorim hopefully arrives. Well, gentlemen, the time has come.
Just before we do that,
carry on.
Ireland, today, the FAI today have announced that the CEO is stepping down because he is so useless.
Oh my God, that's actually quite big news.
In the week that we are still expecting the Ireland manager to be announced, The CEO has just stepped down.
Oh my
Still,
days.
there wasn't any massive controversy. There was a minor controversy that was kind of ongoing, and there has generally been an unhappiness with how things have been going with Ireland, like in terms of the organisation. Like it's taken us forever to get a manager sorted. There was some incorrect accounting going on, and then they had to go to the government and explain all this. So like hasn't not as bad as it has been in the past, but not going smoothly. And he's left the role today. We now have an interim CEO, and we're meant to be getting a manager this week. Every day the odds are changing as to who was getting it. Last Friday there was a rumor that we were going to get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which I would have actually been okay with. And it's just changing every day, and there's rumors coming out that managers are still getting asked if they want the job, or still getting approached. Even though I think it must be 2 or 3 weeks ago now, or it was before the international break, so however long that was ago, we were told that it's all in hand, and there's a manager just waiting to come in. So really interesting to see who it is. I have high hopes, especially after the CEO leaves. So clearly things aren't going smoothly. So yeah, that's a bit of exciting Irish news.
Congrats or what? Or good luck? I don't know how to respond to that.
Good luck, I think, is
I guess
is appropriate.
Yeah, you might need it.
Okay, the time has come to pick our shocking of the week, and I have a shout straight away.
Go for it.
With Bayer Leverkusen's title win. Let me double check the hype, but I'm pretty sure he checks off. Magnificent interview. There you go. He checks out. Magnificent interview on ESPN after the title win. He's such a character. Jeremy Frimpong obviously had maybe the best season out of any right back / wing back in the entire world this season. If you haven't watched the interview with Archie, I think his last name is Ryan Tutt. Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah, he's very good.
He's very so good, Archie. I think he's the best post-match interviewer in the world. Do
you know him personally? Do you?
Well, I hope. Yeah, he's quite a good mate. No, I just watch his interviews every because he posts them on his Twitter as well. So I just watch them every week, and he's genuinely like fits the character of every interview when what it needs. Like if it's insight, or if Leverkusen had that big win against Bayern, it's balancing that tactical insight with the ramifications of this are huge, and that reflects really well in the interview and gets something out of Xabi Alonso. Is a really honest interviewer, interviewee as well. Like he's very professional and honest, while being diplomatic at the same time. But Jeremy Frimpong's interview was so good. Do go watch it if you haven't already. But that's my short king of the week to honor Leverkusen's Bundesliga title.
My shout is Eberici Eze.
He's 5'10".
No, he's not. I'm after looking up. I'm after looking up. He's only.
My source 5'10". What's your source?
My source says he's an inch taller than me.
Oh, he's 178 according to Transfermarkt.
Oh, I've got 173.
173 according to Eurosport. I don't know how. I don't know if that's reliable. Is there a height okay? EA Sports homepage. Not homepage, obviously. But the EA Sports website has 5'10". Yeah. The Premier League website has 178, which is 5'10".
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Damn it.
It's so close, but so far.
Yeah.
Sorry, Harry. Do you have any other shouts?
Well, I've got a suggestion. I don't know how tall he is, and I can't look this up, obviously, because I'm on my phone here. But
Yeah.
Yuri Tielemans, and if he's not under 5'9", he looks like me, and I am.
Yes.
So I'd say,
He's
to be
5'9". He's 5'9".
there you go. There you go. Yuri Tielemans. Mate, honestly, I've forgotten what a good player he is. Like, I can't believe he doesn't play for Villa every week. Like, God, he's good on the ball. And actually, he had a few sprints in him. And the thing he always gets tagged with is, like, not being, like, mobile or athletic enough.
Yeah.
He beat Martinelli to a sprint in, like, the 89th minute. And Martinelli had come on as sub, and maybe that says more about his form at the minute. But, man, he was good. He played a heck of a ball for the second goal. And he just class, mate. Just played a big part in their performance, actually, just keeping the ball, calm under pressure when we were trying to sort of squeeze on and got a bit desperate. His ability to receive and just recycle is very frustrating. But he's very, very good on the ball.
Yeah, I've got another shout.
Go on.
And it's a player that's I've actually seen a few bits of his games recently, and he's in great form. It's Gibbs White.
Oh, Morgan Gibbs White. Okay.
Yeah, Morgan Gibbs White.
Is he under 5'9"?
He definitely is. Yeah, he's
really?
small.
5'7".
Yeah.
He's
5'7".
2 inches taller than I am.
Ripped, man. I don't believe that.
Yeah. He's very strong, but he's a short king.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, he's good.
But I'm happy to go with Frimpong though. He's won the league title.
Yeah. I don't think he has won a short king of the week, but Yuri Tielemans is the one.
It's a bit narcissistic to pick yourself as short king of the week, but I'll have to do it at some point.
Sorry, Yuri. Couldn't do it. Be your own team.
If that goal had went in, I would have backed Yuri Tielemans.
Yeah, that's true. At the crossbar,
to hit both
and the
crossbar and the post.
Yeah.
Harvey Elliott had a similar effort against Crystal Palace. Like in terms of hitting the crossbar and the post at the same time. Yeah, anyway. Okay, well, it didn't turn out as depressing as I thought it would be, to be honest. Thanks.
I was quite hopeful.
Harry
kind of brought the hopes up a bit here. I'm
always happy to supply some optimism. Honestly, everyone I work with on a daily basis will be absolutely amazed that I brought any optimism to a situation. Like, normally it is the exact opposite. I'm Mr. Doom and Gloom. So, what can I say? It's nice to be the optimistic voice for once.
Copy Obsession is a success.
Absolutely.
Or listening, indeed. Follow, like, and subscribe. Have a good one.